Miller, the president of T360. We got a recording in progress message that kicks in. Man, they've been changing that on Zoom lately. I don't know, Dean, you noticed that they keep changing that message. So you go live and it's like, yeah, you got some woman talking over you saying, "Hey, we've got we're recording in process." Less. This was a little bit more polite. I noticed the initial one was was a little bit too much. Well, welcome if you're joining us for the first time. We're delighted to have you. I have Dean Cottrill here, who is our senior vice president, runs our brokerage consulting and also our T3 Fellows program. We know we have some people coming on. We're going to give folks a second to come into the meeting. Again, if you're new to this webinar, to seeing us, we do this every month, and we do a valuable topic for brokers and team leaders. Sometimes we interview some of our clients and some of our friends in the industry. So it's just been an ongoing series we've run. I mean, Dean, we've been doing this now for what, 3 years?
Yeah. And this is actually, a lot of the ones are flash webinars are typically about 30 minutes, high content, short period of time. This one goes a little longer because we're going to dive deeper into the whole fellows process, the 10 key modules to help you grow a fast growing brokerage and or team. So it's a little longer, but very interactive. This is probably good to do some housekeeping too. The chat window, make sure you can use the chat during the course of this presentation. We want it to be interactive. So if you have a question or want to throw something out or want to add something to the discussion, please use the chat window.
Yes, definitely. We're very receptive to questions. We're happy to take them and answer them. I will go ahead and kick us off here, and then I've got a brand new slide deck to share with you guys. So the talk today is on 10 steps to a fast growing brokerage or team. We do this talk about twice a year, and it's an overview of our strategic process that we recommend. Even if you're not clients of ours, we recommend going through this process in this order for growing your company or developing your business. And so that's what this talk will be about. It has a lot of steps in it. A fun thing we've done this time is we've integrated some of our client stories into the talk. So I'm going to bring Dean in here and there to talk a little bit about, like, well, tell us about this client and what they did in this section, or how they worked on their business, and that's how that works. So we'll jump through that. As a formal introduction, my name is Jack Miller. I'm the president of T360. I have been with the company for about 8 years, and it'll be 8 years in October. I started in real estate at Keller Williams franchise headquarters in Austin, Texas. I've been a franchise owner. I've run an independent brokerage before. I've been licensed and sold real estate. And about 8 years ago, Stefan Swanepoel, who's our CEO and founder, and I partnered up to build a larger company. We brought in, and I'm based in Austin, Texas. I've got 2 sons. I just got back from a wonderful trip to Hawaii where I visited with Stefan. I got to swim with the sea turtles. Taught both my boys learned how to surf. It was fantastic. So I highly recommend if you can spare the time. It's a great place to visit. My partner on this call is Dean, and Dean runs our brokerage consulting and also our T3 Fellows program. So Dean, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. Before I go on to myself, Jack also, he's always bashful, but he won the Inman Innovation Award. Apple case, it was a case study for Apple, and a few other things. Very rich background, little humble, but I want to share that with you.
Yeah, I did some good work. We had a good team in brokerage, so thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah. So I'm at 32 years in the industry. I came out of college with an accounting degree, decided I didn't like accounting. I got a real estate license, went to community college at night, right outside of Washington, D.C., and then sold houses for 8 years. And then moved into leadership roles for a decade. I managed offices for 2 of the largest independent brokerages in the country, which were Weichert Realtors and Long & Foster at the time. And that was on the East Coast. And then I moved into NRT's operation for Coldwell Banker. I ran the Mid-Atlantic for a decade. And then I took over at the end, I was a group president. I overran the company on the East Coast from Georgia to Delaware. It was 4,000 agents. We did about $10 billion in business. And then about roughly going on close to 4 years now, I moved into running the brokerage consulting division for T360, working with Jack and Stefan and our other members of our team. And I also run the Fellows program, which this highlights, as Jack said, already mentioned.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you, Dean, for the intro. You've been such an asset to our team, and I know the clients that work with you have just had great things to say about all the work that we've done. So I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll jump into our presentation today. And again, feel free to comment, put things in the chat or the Q&A. I think Dean will be monitoring that so if there's anything there, please do put it in. And Dean, let me know if the bar, the control bar, shows up. Okay, so I just moved it off screen, so I think we should be okay.
You're good.
And then if I move the video, are we still good? We're still looking okay?
Good. Yeah, okay, all good.
Yeah, Zoom has been making a lot of little tweaks, and we've noticed some little things that we thought were different changed recently. So, all right, so 10 steps to a fast-growing brokerage team. Again, this is if you were to ask our organization for a plan of how to grow your business quickly and in a competitive market, this is the plan we would give you, and we would tell you, use the plan with or without us. And so that's where this comes from. I'm going to talk a little bit about why, first off, why we created this program, which we call T3 Fellows. And there's really just a few reasons that we felt it was necessary when we put the program together. First, this is a highly varied industry, and not everyone starts in the same place. This is not like people that are in real estate brokerage or running teams. You don't go to college for that. You don't go into a standardized training for that. You probably came up through sales. Maybe in some cases your parents did it and you've kind of come into it that way. But there's usually not a standard path. So we can't count on everybody coming through a standard path, and there's a lot of variation in people's knowledge because of that. And that leads to my second point. There's no true industry standard education for brokers where you say, well, I can count on if a person's acting as a broker in real estate, then they definitely got this training. And you went through licensure and you know maybe how to comply with the law and how to do the things necessary in your state. Most people are not in a competitive program where they learn how to really compete as a broker and how to build something that is going to grow quickly. And that's what's a little bit different in this industry. There's a lot of risks and costs in building a larger company. And I think anybody that's on this call that has, if you've built something and you're doing $1 million or $2 million or $3 million or $4 million in revenue, you felt that because you've had to write checks up front, you've had to hire people, you've had to open office locations, you have to sign leases, you have to do things that involve you taking on personal risk or business risk in order to grow. And most leaders get to a point in their business where they're like, this is a lot of risk. Am I sure that I'm pursuing this correctly? Am I doing it in a way that maybe is the most beneficial to me and the least risky? So there's a lot of risks in growing any business. And then the other point, and this one kind of goes back to points 1 and 2, which is because you're growing a larger organization, in the process of growing a larger organization, there are more skills that the organization has to master. You have to learn how to do things like marketing. You have to learn how to recruit. You have to learn how to, manage your P&L or manage your finances as you get a bigger organization. And, it's one thing to manage, a small organization that has a less sophisticated, financial or HR environment. As it gets bigger and bigger, you have to learn more stuff. And that's one of the challenges is most brokers don't come in. They don't know all those things, and they may not know what they need to know in order to grow quickly and grow well. So those are some of the challenges. Dean, any comments on challenges from your perspective?
Yeah, I'm getting, just some things in the chat were coming over, and it just makes me think, and this is many of the brokerages we work with, the idea of walking, as you mentioned, walking down the street and talking to a competitor and you guys masterminding doesn't happen. I mean, there's only certain places. And really, when I shared my background in running a large organization, there's not a lot of outside resources available for someone to come in that's trusted, knows, been down that road, can share. So with that, these steps and having someone who's been down that path, frankly, and our clients see this, really helps them to move faster. I kind of use the analogy, and Jack, you heard this last time, being in a dark room and you're kind of looking for that next door in the growth of your business, whatever your business looks like, and the idea here is let's get somebody to help turn the lights on, let you see where that next door is. It's not like you can't find it yourself, but it's going to take you longer. You're going to bump into more walls. You're going to get bruised and challenged through money loss, frustration, things like that. So a lot of that's kind of
And it's risk. That's the risk piece of it too, is that when you're going it alone and you're not working with a network or a consultant or other people that can help you, that you're taking all that risk of figuring it out. So that's part. So that's why we created it. Both Dean and I believe there's still, and I think there remains very strong opportunities in building brokerage businesses or larger sales organizations, whether that's a sales team or inside of a brokerage model. So there's a number of opportunities. We'll tell you a little bit about some of the opportunities, why people end up talking to us, and that we think are part of why people look to develop their brokerage business. A lot of people come and they want to grow revenue and be more profitable. So that's an opportunity. We are talking to a number of brokers all the time. We're saying the market is changing. What do I need to do to position and be in a strong place, regardless of what new thing comes into real estate? There's a lot of new things coming into real estate right now. Many people talk to us and say, I'd like to turn my company into an asset I can sell one day. I want to have something that has some value that another party might buy. So people we talk to, that you might have a great organization. Is it ready for somebody to buy it? So they say, I want to make sure this is a good asset. Sometimes we get people to come to us and say, I've got a really great idea that is different for something that I want to do with my business, but I don't know how to express it. I need help putting it together. I need help packaging it. I need help, who am I? Who is our company? What are we really trying to do? So we get some people that come to us and say, I've got a great idea. I don't know how to really put it in the market in a way that's clear, concise, and compelling. Some of the people that come to us that we work with are just looking at key areas in their business and say, I need help in operations. I don't have the help I need there. Or, I've got a good organization, but we're not recruiting purposefully enough, or not recruiting enough people to hit my financial goals. Or they may say, marketing's not working for us. I don't have the marketing we're doing isn't up to what I think it needs to be, or we need help. So there may be a key business driver. Some people have a real hot button and they come and they say, I need help with that. So, and then for some, it's just get all this stuff working. It's just a big pile of things, and the business is not efficient. It's not running as well as it should. We'd like someone to really take a look at it and help us get it all running and operating and being the way that we want it to be. And then lastly, some of the leaders we work with that come to us and they say, you know what? I am really into growing and developing others. And in order to do that, I want to understand how to build my organization bigger so I can create opportunities both for myself and for them. And to say, we're going to build a bigger organization. I have other people that I'm going to bring in, and I'm into that. So Dean, any comments on the opportunity in building a brokerage team?
I think one of the great things, the opportunities on this is, many times you probably feel running your brokerage, running your businesses or your teams, the water levels here, and you're having to stop, take a breath, and then put your head back down, and you're going at, day to day. And we want to help push that water level lower so you can be breathing. And, when I played football, you talk about keeping your head on a swivel. So you're always looking around for opportunities and how to grow and things like that. And this, through creating efficiencies and working to run your business more effectively, that's going to help you run a more efficient business. It's not like that water level is going to go down your feet and you guys are going to be dancing all around and life's great. Life's going to be great. It's just you need to move that lower, and that's going to come through. And that's an opportunity that's going to come through, working diligently on your systems, on your business, and growing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into the 10 steps. So this is the roadmap. This is the strategic process that we follow when we do consulting with companies, either individually. This is a roadmap for that process, or in the program that we do called T3 Fellows, which we're going to tell you a little bit more about at the towards the end. So the first step is discovering yourself and really taking a look at your business. This is one, and sometimes people come to us just for this. They just say, I just want an outside perspective on my company. I want someone to look at it, maybe someone with some significant experience in the space that can do some things like benchmark it or compare it to other businesses. Somebody that's not competing with me in my market, and yet knows what's going on generally and can understand my business, understand my market. So this discovery process, again, some people just come in just for this piece. And they say, I just want an outside perspective and feedback, and where could I be doing better? So there's kind of 4 key areas that we look at: people, systems, profit and loss, and marketing and brand, to look at a company holistically and say, how are your people? How are your staff? What do your tools and technology and systems look like? What do your financials look like? And then how do you show up in the marketplace? What do those look like? Within the company, there's operational areas that we want to look at, things like recruiting and retention. How well are you bringing people into your company, and how are people staying? Are they leaving? How many of them are leaving? Why are they leaving? How much are you retaining in terms of company dollar? What are your major expenses and expense categories, and how profitable are you? And these are areas where, because our organization looks at a lot of brokerage financials and a lot of brokerage recruiting numbers, that we can tell you what's healthy and what needs some work. So Dean, I know you do a lot of this discovery process. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, and you said, Jack, a lot of people approach us and say, this is like, I kind of equate it to like an audit, going back to my accounting days. It's like a full deep dive and say, hey, where are you today? Where's your business? And then we benchmark it. So we do red, yellow, and green on benchmarks in key business areas for brokerage. And as you mentioned, we do the Mega 1000 every year too. So we're ranking the top brokerages. We've got a lot of clients. So we see top performing organizations and have those benchmarks and give you some insight into how you're performing in some of these key areas. And then through that red, yellow, green, we talk about best practices. Organizations that are really killing it in this space, doing a great job. This is what they're doing. This is the things that you could implement to get there, things along those lines, which could be very helpful for you to run down a road, because you'll get a clearer vision of what that road looks like.
Yeah, and we're big on scoring. So you'll see we use a worksheet to go through and look at your business, and we score all the different elements of your business. And some that if we have a benchmark for it, we can tell you, you're in the green zone, you're good here, you're yellow, this is a trouble spot, maybe to watch out, and you're red, like we need to do something now. So we do that. And we also look at other operational areas and parts of your business and ask you to evaluate them and say, on a scale 1 to 10, where are we with, we think anything below a 7, you probably need to do something about it in order to get it to where it needs to be. So big on that. We recommended this organized approach at looking at your business and going through your key areas. So this is just an example of some of the analysis we do in looking at the business. A lot of this is the financial analysis, the financial pieces. Each part of the process is a slightly different component that we evaluate based on how it needs to be evaluated, whether it's marketing and brand or people or systems.
And the other thing too on this, for everybody's knowledge, is we also do a deep dive in the tech stack. So we look at, as Jack mentioned, we look at the tech stack. We do a funnel approach, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, and after funnel, looking at consumers as they come into your business, buyers and sellers, work through the process, contracts, follow up, testimonials, and then follow up after the fact, after the closing. And what are the systems you have? What are you utilizing? Are you missing it? Are you having any gaps? So it's also part of that whole overview.
That's it. And then we do have people that come to us and do this work. So this is one of our clients, Matt Curtis. Tell us a little bit about Matt. He came to us and was in the Fellows program and had some things to say about it. Yeah,
Matt's a rock star. Actually, I talked to him yesterday. He's down in Huntsville, Alabama. Does a phenomenal job. Was a very, very successful team. Runs his own brokerage, Matt Curtis Real Estate. And he was on a call. We had a mastermind call that we do almost every month for our clients. And he was talking about when COVID started, we started weekly calls with all our clients about how to position the organization, thinking back to when I ran the real estate company in 2008, 9, and 10. What did we need to do when drastic change happened? Things like that. So he implemented a lot of the strategies that we talked about, and he ended up doubling his profit. As you can see from his testimony, we had a 7-figure profit, and then he actually were able to double that 7-figure profit. And he was actually kind of cute. Matt was sitting in his lakefront house that he just purchased all cash. I'm not talking out of school, because that's what he shared on the call. And he said, I'm sitting here because of the changes that you guys helped me implement. This is why I'm in this home surrounded by my family, and it's paid for. And I get goosebumps thinking about it. It was a beautiful thing.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Matt did tremendous work in the program. And I think the discovery was I know he had a lot of things he learned in that part of the process that he was able to apply in order to make sure he got there to that 7-figure profit. So great job there.
He's not standing still. He keeps growing.
Yeah.
Just that's why he's still going.
Yeah. He's in our alumni program, which is the continuity program that happens after the first year or so. It's done great stuff. So the second thing we'd recommend is in your plan is defining your outcome. And this is looking at where do you want to be? And we talk about developing a strategic intent that says, here is where I would like to end up. I'm going to be doing work in my business, but this is the big picture where I want to end up. And this is a little different. I think people are used to setting sales goals and sales targets and income targets. This is a little more holistic. It's talking about where strategically in terms of your life and your business do you want to go? And then mapping that out with goals along the way and saying, look, in order to meet that need, whether it's selling the company for a certain amount of money or having a business that provides you with a certain amount of income, that there's some nature of that goal, whether it's a financial goal, whether it's a personal life goal, and then breaking it down into milestones and saying, here's where we are today. What are the major milestones along the way? And these are not just number milestones like, oh, well, I'm at 1 million, I didn't want to get to 2, and there's 1.5 in the middle. It's about the big changes that need to be made in your business in order to get there. Whether that's, I need to replace myself in the business, I need to hire a chief operating officer, I need to replace some of my systems, I need to recruit X number of people. These are the big milestones that require usually projects to get done. And so we look at what are your major milestones and what are the projects you need to do in your business to get to that milestone. So it's a very concrete planning approach and way of thinking where you say, here's where I'm trying to go. Here are the major steps along the way that you can see, and then doing a lot of detail around how to get to your next milestone. Your milestones may change. The way that Stefan talks about it is when we've talked about strategic planning, says, if you're going to drive from California to New York, you're going to go to New York City. You might start that journey and then partway down, you realize like, oh, there's some flooding on the highway that I was planning on taking. I'm gonna have to go a different way. So you may need to change the path to get there, but the intent remains the same. You still want to get to where you said you want to get to. So that's the nature of that. We provide a lot of material for this. And again, there's a lot of things out there. You can go find materials on strategic planning and strategic intent. We have materials that are really tailored around working with real estate brokers, real estate teams, because we understand the nature of the world that you live in and can help you break it into common projects that people do all the time, such as hiring a general manager, such as replacing yourself in your role, such as hiring a president or a person in charge of operations. So those are normal projects that we see routinely. So we can be critical and help you think through your plan maybe a little differently than a non-industry resource or even doing by yourself, because we just see a lot of people go through these life stages in business. So I'm going to bring up a client. So this is one of our clients, Corey McGuire, who worked with us. So tell us a little bit about Corey, because I know that they got a lot of value out of that strategic intent process.
Corey was, managing an operation that came with us and under Blue House at the time, and he loved this module. We actually give quite a bit of reading material in each of the modules. For most of the modules, we had a great Harvard Business Review article specifically on strategic intent and the idea, and a lot of successful organizations, businesses outside of real estate in the article that talk about what this exercise and how they position their mind, to Jack's analogy of, if I'm going from California to New York City, how are you going to get there? What's the milestones, things like that. But that really helped them because it created a visual for most entrepreneurs in the real estate space. Me being one of them, back when I was running a real estate company, I wasn't thinking about in the future. I didn't create that visual of where I wanted to go, the New York City in the comparison that we're using here. So by doing the exercise and thinking, all right, this is where I want to end up. What's the timeline of when I want to get there? And for Corey, it was really powerful for them to create that visual, because then it's like, okay, if I want to get there and I'm right here right now I see the path more clearly. I'm seeing the roadmap more clearly. And then we break it into milestones, as Jack said. So the first milestone, second milestone, and then what's that timeline and what are the projects within that milestone? And you want 3 to 5 projects, no more, because frankly, statistically, if you have 0 projects and 10, you're going to accomplish about the same thing.
About the same. So, yeah.
So the sweet spot.
You don't want 50 projects. You don't want 10 projects. You probably want 2 or 3 that you're working on every year that are major projects. They're significant, not just operations. So that's that. Next part of the process that we recommend is to know your competition. And this is developing or designing a very strong competitive market assessment and looking at your market, looking at compensation plans, looking at services offered to agents in your market, and looking at whatever kind of core differentiation, what makes your competitors different, and applying that same lens to yourself and really looking at your business and saying, what do we offer? How do we compensate? What's our differentiation? And keeping track of that. And this is both, there's both a subjective and an objective part of this. Some of this, you can pull numbers from the MLS. You can look at how many agents they have. You can look at how productive they are. I tell you, for many of you, one of the things that a lot of brokers don't do is look at agent productivity. We know a lot of the companies that have come and work with us, they've been frustrated because they're not growing, but they're actually very productive with the agents they have. So definitely do comparisons on agent productivity. That's a real eye opener, especially as you start looking at at your footing in the market. We take an organized T3 approach to this. We give you a worksheet. We go through it with you. We recommend you do the same and say these are all the categories. But you can actually do this one just with these areas and just say, look, compensation plan, service offering, differentiation. You can start at a very high level and literally just write down those 3 areas and put as much information about your competitors as possible. We encourage you to go deeper when you really can get into this and say, what are all the different areas that you can compare your brokerage. And then this is part of what we do in our process. This is helps people really work on it, is present it to peers. And this is where, as we have built this program, we found when you go to a broker and say, we want you to do a competitive analysis in your market, and you're going to put together a little presentation, and then you're going to talk about your market and your competition in front of other peer brokers. It means you're probably going to do a better job, because you don't want to get up in front and not have anything to say. B, you get a lot of feedback from the other brokers that are in a group like this to say, hey, I have companies like that in my market. Here's some of their points of differentiation that you maybe missed, or we compete with a similar business model in our market. Here's some of the things that we know, and you get more of that collaborative feedback on competitors in your market, and also on some of your own strengths. So I know this is a favorite exercise of ours. Dean, anything on competitive analysis? And then I've got a client that did a terrific job with this to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's great. It's Jack's point, masterminding, because in the presentation to the others in the group, they're all growth minded. Everyone who moves in this program is growth minded. They want to grow. They want to figure it out. They want to create more efficiency. They want to get there faster. So it's great when you sit around in a room like that of entrepreneurs and you share insights, business models, competitors that you're going against, your strengths, and then you mastermind. So it's really a win-win.
Great. Very cool. So our client who went through this program about 4 years ago, who did one of the strongest jobs with this, was Paul Barron. Paul runs a very large operation. I think when he joined the program, he had 600 some odd agents and eight or nine offices. He runs the largest Century 21 franchise in Canada, and he's in the Toronto market. And what he did that I thought was so clever was he took that competitive exercise and brought it to his managers, and he had them do it for their office and for where they recruited and where they operated, and then had it back. And so he learned a lot about his managers and what they knew or didn't know about the market. He also got valuable intel out of it, and he started to get them to think a little bit more competitively. So Dean, any comments on Paul? I mean, he's just such a competitor.
Yeah, he's great. Constant learner, constant pushing to understand more. He's one of the larger organizations who've gone through the fellows program, because he was at the time 3 billion, roughly almost 3, and he was over 4 billion after the program. Through this exercise, he said, by getting his managers more in tune with their competitors, understanding them, because what it does, it helps you hone in on your value proposition. What's the uniquenesses that you have to offer to the agents in the market, but also maybe they're not unique, but what are the things that you do better than your competitors? And that's accentuating this. Talk about it. Did a phenomenal job in that area, and that helped him then recruit more agents. And as Jack just said, I think he's close to 900 agents now. He's actually grown quite a bit. He's really doing a great job.
Yeah, awesome work there. So number 4, so this is the 4th step. So now at this point, you've done a discovery. You've looked at your business. You've said where you want to go. You've looked at the competitors. So now's a good time to talk about specific financial results and say, okay, here's where we are. I understand our marketplace. I understand my business a lot better. Let's look at that. So we do scenario planning using a what if process. So we'll take you through this. We supply actually a worksheet to do this, where you can go through and try out different financial scenarios and then see what you need to do in terms of how much recruiting, what kind of production, what kind of average price point, all those kinds of variables that impact your business model, depending, of course, on your business model. So this helps you do financial planning for growth and say, oh, okay, if I want to hit these numbers, here's the kinds of changes I need to make in our organization, whether it's targeting a higher price point, higher transaction volume, how many more agents you need, all that kind of planning. It's how you track and measure your success. Once you do this what if and scenario planning, you'll pick a scenario and say, this is the scenario I'm going to pursue. Here's what I'm going to do this year. And then you do it again the following year. Help you look at also additional revenue streams. This is another area where there's a lot of opportunity in additional revenue streams, affiliated business revenue. And again, Dean's had a lot of experience in that background. We've had a number of our brokers have added affiliated businesses, joint ventures, in order to even improve their financial results more. In some cases, their affiliated businesses are making as much or more than their brokerages are. So very, very important. So Dean, any comments on specific financial results?
Yeah, this is something that's so important. We tap in, as Jack said in the beginning, this is all foundational. We start with discovering where you are right now, the discovering process, and we build on that. This diving into and understanding and thinking about forecasts and growth and where you want to go is in the planning phase. The what if is a tremendous worksheet. It says, you know what, if I increase this, or if I recruited 10 more agents, what would be the bottom line impact? If I adjusted or charged a higher fee, or if I brought this about or did this change, what would be the impact of my bottom line? And the other thing we discuss, and this is something we continue to do through fellows and then our alumni clients, is on a yearly basis. You want to revisit this, of course. And I'll say this to you guys just as a tidbit. Right now, we're 7 months are in the book for 2021. So you should do a 7-5. It's 7 months, actual numbers, 5 forecasted. So that's a 7-5 model. How are you tracking right now in units and sales volume? How's that impacting your bottom line? Looking at year over year performance. And that'll help you make some executive decisions on how you want to end this year. Where do you want to spend money? Do you want to pull back? Do you want to go more aggressively in some areas? That'll help you make better decisions. At the end of August, when you close your books, then you'll have an 8-4 forecast, and you can start thinking through your business that way. And that'll help you be more strategic in the decisions that you make.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, and we're happy to provide this what if worksheet to everybody attending today. So I know we got some questions about that. It's a really cool worksheet. We have several versions. We'll provide the base version for you. Sometimes people have different business models and you need to tweak it, but this is a version that should allow you to do most of what you need to do, if not everything, where you can look at changes in if I add units, increase number of agents, get better at capturing a higher commission percentage. Sometimes you need to go coach some of your agents to not discount their fee and to hold the line, or maybe even improve the line if they're already good at that. So it gives you a lot of different things that you can tweak, and then you can see the end results at the bottom, the net profit on the bottom line, and see the impact it can make to your business. So it's a really great exercise to do. I know we had Howard over at Next Home Cape Fear who did a lot of work with us in the program. You want to talk to us a little bit about Howard and how he was impacted? I
actually talked to him yesterday too. Howard's a great guy. Running, he's Next Home down there, Next Home Cape Fear. Wonderful. Yeah, he took this and loved how he could visualize, because we're mostly all visual learners, a high percentage of us. So the exercise is really wonderful for you to see the impact. And for Howard, he saw the impact in making and implementing some new strategies, new ideas. As you can see, he accomplished 4 major goals. And part of it was installing a new lead gen program that he worked through. He vetted. We discussed kind of mastermind how would be the best way to position that, and it became a real win for him. So it's a great, and I'm glad he provided the quote, on exactly how that benefited him in his business. But that stemmed from this module of the work that we did together.
That's great. So we'll go on to talking about crafting your unique pitch. And I just moved something around on my screen, Dean. Do I have anything blocking the screen at all?
No, you're good.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm gonna pop out just for a second, because where I moved it, I popped open the Q&A, and where I moved it, I could not actually see the slide. So, but I'm glad to know it didn't show up for everybody else. So, so your unique pitch. This is what is different about what you do. And at this stage, usually by the time you get to this point in the process, you say, I've discovered myself. I've looked at the market. I've gone through and an exercise and looked at my business model. And then you're in a great place to talk about what's different about what you do. It's also backed up by all of you can position yourself. And sometimes even the competitive analysis, you learn things that you're really great at that you might not have thought to have talked about. So this piece, we help you look at that and how you tell your story. Well, we work with you to evaluate your material and what you say about your business, your marketing and brand. And we use a fun and fundamental concept called Jungian archetypes to look at what kind of a brand are you, what's your personality in the marketplace, what's your personality as a leader, and how is that expressed through your company. We have recently, I will tell you, we've recently brought on a VP of a publicly traded company, Frederick Haro, who is advising us on marketing. And one of the tasks, Dean, I haven't even told you about this. One of the tasks I have for him is I want to have him help us with this part of the program because he came out of Brokerage. He ran marketing for Weichert and has done a ton of industry marketing over the years. And so we're going to bring him in to get involved with this. And he's just delightful to work with. He's been working with our alumni on a number of projects. So this is a great segment where you kind of look at yourself holistically and say, how do I want to talk about myself? What are the things that are most important? And then you go through your materials and get them aligned. Like I said, we use a fun concept, this archetype concept, to talk about what's the personality of your brand, how is it expressed, how's your brand approach the market? Are you a jester, a fun brand? Are you more of a ruler brand, which is more of a luxury brand? Are you a magician, which you think of Apple, think of Disney? These are iconic brands in the marketplace that all have a personality where they're doing something that's memorable. And you look at your own company that way and say, how do I want my company to be thought of in terms of these kinds of archetypes? These are very powerful stories that hook directly into our psyche as humans. So if you can pick one of these and get really good at being that, people will remember you better. Your marketing will be better centered. And so that's why we do that. So we also have everybody do a brand worksheet, go through and audit all their materials and their brand and look at everything, grade everything on what needs to be changed, where updates need to be made. Part of this is a little bit taking stock and a little bit just determining where you have opportunities to really make good changes to your brand and brand materials. So really good work there. And then I'll turn it over to you, Dean, to talk about, this is Tammy Pierce, Next Home Seekers, who worked with us. I know she loved the branding module. So tell us a little bit about her experience with that.
So she said she loved every module. Seems like we pulled this quote for this, but Tammy's awesome with her husband, Liam, Next Home Seekers. And that's something that Carl Jung's training, at his research that utilizes talking about the 12 archetypes was just powerful. And Tammy and Liam just took that and just loved it because, they're a franchisee. So the Next Home, and they have that. So they did that research and then personally and said, what's the fit for me? What's the brand? And a lot of entrepreneurs that are running real estate companies, you end up kind of positioning, one day you're going to position yourself and you kind of go out to the market and you're the jester, you're having fun and you're promoting yourself in a fun way or whatever. And then you switch and you become the sage. Like tomorrow you want to be like, I'm the knowledgeable expert in the market. And then so you're jumping all over the place. And what that unfortunately does, it doesn't resonate to your agents and to the community and to the area because you're jumping all over the place. So this exercise is about honing in into what is your voice? Who are you as an organization to your core? And then amplify that message. It's not like you can't be fun and you can't do good things or interesting things, but it's ideas taking. And then as Jack showed you the worksheet, we look at all the materials from marketing, your office, and the door, the colors, the furniture. I mean, you can go really in depth on this and say, am I communicating in our voice or am I jumping all over the place? And we want successful businesses, and Jack rattled off a couple, they're very consistent in their messaging because they know it resonates. And one last thing on this is just by going specific into one area or having a primary and a sub brand, for example, or archetype, doesn't mean you're going to exclude yourself from everybody. These are unconscious connections that we all have. And it's just going to help raise the bar for your connection for your organization. So great exercise.
And ideally, they're true. They're not an artifice. It's like actually reflects who you are and how your business actually is. So when people discover like, oh, you are who you say you are, that everybody in this age really values authenticity. So that's that.
And so I'm going to check on that real quick on that is what that did for Tammy, specifically to this quote. It just gave her the green light to say, I was feeling that way. I wanted to do that. I wasn't sure. And it was like now she's running, 100 miles an hour down that road. It was awesome.
That's great. So next piece we talk about in the annual program is to get to know your recruits and do some work with determining who you're recruiting, who's successful on your team. So we recommend developing and writing targeted personas for your recruits, and you use these to plan for engaging potential agents and engaging your own existing agents and say, these are the kinds of agents we do a really great job helping. We have a set of base templates for these that are based on our own research, our own work in the industry, looking at what are the kinds of people that come into the industry, what are their biggest challenges, what do they most need? Because the way you talk to a new Nicole, who's maybe just getting started in the industry, who needs a lot of training and development, is going to be different than how you talk to a second career person who's been working for a while, who probably has a network of friends, maybe was in a sales job before. They're going to have different needs. So you use these personas to really target and say, who am I after? And then what are the hot buttons? What are the issues? What are the challenges that our business can really help them with? Because you talk like maturing Michelle, who's maybe been in the industry for a while, is very successful. Their challenges are different, but even the most mature top producer has challenges that your business can solve for them. They're just different than the new person or the second career person who's just getting started in real estate. You're going to have different challenges. We have a whole set of templates that we work people through. You create your own based on the kinds of recruits in your market and that are a really great fit with your model. And I know that Brad Platt at Century 21 Northland really love the personas, and they've had some pretty awesome results in recruiting as a result of focusing on this and the next module, recruiting process. So tell us a little bit about Brad.
Yeah, Brad's awesome. Up in Central 20, he's up in Michigan, and does a phenomenal job with him and his partners. And one of the things that persona, he actually was a recruiter before. So he was a headhunter outside of the real estate space. So when we did the personas exercise for him, it just allowed him to really hone in. And this is the same thing it does for everybody. It allows you to hone in that message for that persona, that new Nicole in our example, for example, or the second career Sam, or whoever it might be. So what happens is each brokerage that goes through this, or large team, says, here's who I'd like to recruit into my team or my brokerage, specifically this persona or that persona. And then what are the challenges that this person has in their business to be successful? And what are their typically needs? What are the list of needs they typically have, someone in that persona? And then what do you guys have in the form of systems, support, tools to help provide that? So this will highlight gaps, and it also will allow you to amplify the messaging to that persona. So, in other words, you don't give everybody the kitchen sink. Now, the old catchphrase used to be, don't be the answer to people's prayers until you know what they're praying for. So the idea is ascertain, what this new recruit, this persona is looking for, and then be able to provide it or communicate on their level. And this is what recruiting personas did for Brad.
Yeah, that's perfect. So next part of the process, building a recruiting system. Many people that are in brokerage ownership, you guys were listing agents, or if you're running a team, you were a listing agent, and you need a recruiting system, just like you had a listing system. So you need the same kind of thing. We believe you need to standardize and implement it, a process that you take people through in recruiting, step by step. Here's how you source candidates. Here's what you do. Here's what you do at meetings and appointments. Here's the flow of that recruitment conversation. We map it out. We have a 10-step process that maps out the major steps and what is happening in each step that we teach people through that process. So we take them through that. We have some recommended scripts, some dialogues, some conversations that we think you should have. Now, they're going to be a little different. You're going to insert your value proposition and what's unique about your company in the appropriate places, but it's a structure of that conversation from the very first call that you have with them all the way to onboarding them, like what that conversation looks like and the steps in that. And we provide templates to do this. So this is something I know, Dean, you worked with a consultant years ago to help you get systematized about recruiting. And we think if you're going to grow your business quickly, this is an area to get systematic and very important. I'll move over to one of our clients, Victor, who moved through the program about 2 years ago, and he had great success. He said he recruited 20 agents. It was the most successful recruiting he had done by implementing that systematic. So tell us a little bit about Victor.
Yeah, I love Victor down in Charlotte. And when the recruiting process, it really turned light bulbs on. going back, Jack mentioned, when I worked with a consultant with Long and Foster back in 1999, and I was taught a system, how to recruit, what to say, when to ask things, how to pull information out of prospective recruits, and the process to go through. It was like light bulbs came on, because I was at Weichert, as I shared with everybody before, for 2.5, almost 3 years, and I didn't I didn't know a recruiting system. I was a very good listing agent, to Jack's point earlier, very good listing agent, prospecting, presenting value. But in that, when I became and got this system and systemized the whole process, which we shared with Victor and we share with our clients through the Fellows program, it just allows you to just pin your ears back, because then you have the system, you know what to ask, when to ask it, the whole process. And what I'll just end with this. One of the things it did for me at Long and Foster, it helped me. I recruited 46 people to a 50-50 split my first year after learning this. And it was like a green light. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I'm running down this road. I took an office from 20 to over 100 agents in 3 years, and from a loss to over $1 million in profit. And frankly, that learning this interview track has what enabled me to launch my careers into NRT and then running the real estate companies, because it's all about growth and having those systems that enable you to do it in words and things like that. So we provide all that. And for Victor and the others that go, it becomes powerful, because you can just take that, mirror it, and run with it.
This is like getting a superpower when you discover you can do it, and you're like, oh, I can recruit now,
I can
fly.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can fly, or I can turn invisible, or I'm super strong now. So it's amazing. It's a game changer. We got just a few more. I'm going to move pretty quickly because I want to give enough time at the end. So we recommend brokers and teams implement sphere marketing. This is an area where people are spending, and I gave a talk on this just last week. People are spending thousands of dollars to get transactions by buying leads and lead generation. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most agents will tell you that they struggle to stay in touch with their sphere. And we believe that this is a huge, huge opportunity for brokers and teams. So we think you should establish a core program for sphere marketing. It's cost effective and scalable. Print, email, social, something that makes it really easy for an agent who's working at your firm or your company to stay in touch with their sphere and network and do more of that business, because it's just lower cost by like 10 to 50x less expensive to stay in touch with your sphere than it is to go buy new people to do business with, which a lot of our industry is doing. So I think it's a huge opportunity. There's a number of our clients have done this. This is an example of one company that did some really great print marketing in the program. And I'll let you move on, and I'll let you talk a little bit about Kemper, who did a sphere marketing program while they were with us.
Yeah, Kemper runs down in Virginia and just runs a great company. Been around, second generation. His dad's started the company, still running. He's still involved. But Kemper, went through the program and loved the idea of positioning in a sphere program. And he took it and he ran with this down, and he basically implemented a really nice, robust SOI program. It's as Jack mentioned, it's a low cost, very high return. When we look at the 4 ways agents make money, there's 4 ways in real estate agents make money. It's what we call it the 4 agent archetypes. When you look at that networking quadrant, which is the SOI, sphere of influence, it is 80 plus 85 is where we put statistically where you're going to get typically, they don't interview multiple people, they interview one, things along those lines. So he implemented this, got a high turnout, got a lot of people to sign up for the program, utilize it. It creates great retention. It's great for recruiting, and it's great for business development. So win-win all the way around. Yeah,
really strong. If you're not doing a sphere program, we just just take that one away and just go do that for your agents, because it is such a moneymaker for them, and it makes you look great, and they're never going to do it as well as you will. You're going to do it better than they will. So hire great people. So again, you got to build your team. You got to build the team that supports the business. So you got to have a plan for hiring and development, developing job descriptions, having an interview process, knowing how to train people. A lot of people will bring somebody in great, and they don't do enough training with them, and they fall off after the first 90 days. So having a strong plan for that. We have an executive on our team, Kelly White. She runs our talent and hiring programs. She does all of our executive recruiting. We bring her in for this module to talk about hiring. We also have a hiring service. So if you said, hey, I need help hiring an executive or manager, we're doing that. We did 60 some odd placements last year. I think we're on pace to do probably about 70 placements this year. Most of them in brokerage, guys, most of them management level in brokerage, general managers, VPs, brokerage managers, office managers, all that kind of stuff. We've done a ton of those. So if you need help there, we can provide you some help there. Again, we provide you a process and some materials for this. If you, again, want help doing it, we have a way to do that with you, and it's on a fee-for-service basis. But more importantly, we want to make sure you have the process, know the process, can do the process, because most of you, that's your biggest obstacle to growth, is hiring, is your next great hire. So anyway, so that's some material on that. I see we don't have a testimonial from that, but I will tell you, the brokers that have done hiring with us, it clears the way for them to grow their business. And I remember I talked to Katie Minkus, who was at Hawaii Life at the time, and she attributed strong staff hiring as their number one accelerant for growth. They had recruiting in place. Katie drove recruiting there, and Katie was an amazing recruiter. But she said what would happen is every time they brought in a really strong staff person, it freed her up, it freed the team up, and then they were able to go do more. So I think it's just a really strong practice to continue to bring in good people, because if you get freed up as the business owner, as an executive, you can focus on higher value things. So last bit, I'm gonna sprint through this one so we can talk a little bit about the program. So last bit is tell your story. We just did this module yesterday with class 10, so it's very fresh for me. Yep. So having a plan for awards and recognition, company stats and position, public relations and media. I am surprised, Dean. I did some searches, and I took a bunch of companies that you and I both know, and I went on the Google News search, and I said, I wonder what this company's done lately. And I put in the name, and I got no results for so many companies, where it's like they're not issuing press releases, they're not engaging. I don't see them on winning awards that I think they should be winning, or they're not doing anything. They're just not doing anything. So it's like, what's going on in the market? And so this element of telling your story, of engaging in a broader marketing about your business, is super important for creating that top of funnel awareness for candidates. It makes your agents feel great about the business when your company wins awards. Things go into your listing presentations. If you're doing really well on stats, if your list price, sales price is better, really powerful. So we take people through and say, these are some exercises. We also captured, I love, we updated our presentation on this yesterday with some of our agent testimonial videos. We've worked with some of our PRSI, Professional Realty Services International, did a whole series of agent testimonial videos, which is just awesome. Yep. And that's how you get it done. So few people do testimonial videos and incorporate them into their marketing. And so we have a whole unit on this, and some really good examples from some of the brokers we've worked with, and some that are out in the marketplace to just do a great job at broad-based PR and marketing for telling their story. So I think our champ in this category, and I had a note, I just wrote down, I said, where is Dava in this slide deck? Because she's such a strong leader. Dava's the champ of this. I mean, I went and pulled, and she's doing charity stuff that's getting covered in the news. The newspapers are calling her for markets and what's happening in the market, because she's out there. She knows how to be very public media friendly, and just does a great job of this. So I know you've enjoyed. I've loved working with Dava. I know that you do too, Dean. Anything you want to say about Dava?
Dava's a rock star up in Portland, Maine, and
so awesome.
She just expanded into another state. She's one that went through fellows. She continues to work with us in our alumni program, and she just implements. She took this program, dove into each module, and just improved in all these areas, which then enabled her just to take off. And she continues to expand, can grow. They're close to $1 billion in sales volume now. She started off as a team, running a team, and people just liked her so much they wanted to work with her. And then it's just expanded. She moved out of sales away from her team, became running the operation organization, and now it just keeps on growing. It's a beautiful thing. Can't say enough.
The accomplishments in the PR has been such a strong part of it. She's just, some people are really talented at this. She's very talented at it, as well as when we said, hey, these are things you should do. She's like, oh, okay. And she put her marketing mind that she was using for her real estate team onto the PR and media and public events areas, and just crushed. Again, like, I think she started with us like $120 million team, something like that. And to be, 4 years later, approaching $1 billion, multi-office company.
Multi-office,
super impressive. So I'm going to move on, and we're going to talk about, in the last 7 minutes, a little bit about, so we've taken you through those 10 steps. We recommend definitely follow them, use them. You don't have to work with us to use those steps. We gave you the concepts, the ideas. We're going to send you some material. But those are the things that we think will accelerate your growth as a broker or team right now. And it's exciting to run this program because we get to share that with people, and then we get to work in depth with people on it. I'm going to talk to you about that in-depth work. So first of all, we created T3 Fellows with a mission, which is to produce leaders who can fulfill their vision. That's why we created it. Say, this is what we want to do. We want to work with people to help them fulfill their vision, and that's the purpose of it. The way that it works is each month we go through one of those elements in the program, and we start everybody at the same time. We start everybody on module 1, which is discovery. We do it as a group. There's a live online module presentation. We take you through it. We give you some individual work that you're going to do on your own. We give you materials to go do it. And then we do either a small group or one-on-one meeting at the end of the month to wrap up that work and help you get it done, right? So we'll work with you early in the program. There's a lot of one-on-one work, the discovery, the strategic intent, the financial goals, all the kind of stuff that's kind of pretty close to the vest. You want to keep it in a confidential conversation. We do those individual, and then we move into a group format for the remainder of the program where we're talking about brand or recruiting or things like that. And the group format lets you mastermind, lets you get to know the other brokers. You can learn some really great things from things they've tried. We provide individual coaching and support in the program and throughout the program, so you can reach out at any time. Dean, I know all the time we get emails from our brokers saying, hey, I've got a challenge. I need something. But, part of the cool thing about being one of our clients is that we become an extension of your team. We become a resource that you can go, you know what, I'm not sure what to do here, or I'd like some confirmation, or I'd just like to talk to somebody that knows the industry really, really well and can give me a different perspective than I am getting. And that we do that. So that's that individual consulting and support needed to the program. I would also say access to the rest of our team. We're a 25-person company. We've got a 10-person consulting team. We've got a bunch of people in back office technology, front office technology, hiring and recruiting, merger acquisition. So we've got a set of people that know and can do a lot of things and have client projects that they work on all the time. So you get access to them. We meet for retreats. And so we'll have retreats twice a year during the program. We've moved them to virtual due to COVID. We're trying to move them back to in-person. We're in a wrestling match with Delta right now. So, a lot of that's driven by the facilities saying whether or not we can actually host or not. At this point, we are playing an in-person retreat in November, but we're in that wrestling match with the Delta version of COVID. And you can bring other team members in if there's some special project. Once you're in with T3 Fellows, there's other things you can do with us if you need help, like hiring. Hiring is a good example. Oh, I really need help hiring a managing broker. I need hiring a general manager. That when you're working with us as a client, we can do that for you. We're looking for people that are super committed to growth and want to get there and have stable sales and revenue. We're looking for companies that you're big enough where we're not worried that trying to participate in a change program like this is too much for you to take on. And if you lose focus on sales, it's going to cause a real problem. That's really all it is. That you've got pretty good stable sales coming in. And then that way you'll have the time to spend with us. We also have found leaders need to spend probably about a day a week really working on their business instead of in their business. And this program fits right into that. This is what you would do during that day a week that you would work on your business. If you can give it more time, fantastic. If you're Paul Barron and you've got managers working under you and you're really very strategic, that's great. But if you can put in that 4 to 6 hours of quality time into your business every week, then this program will definitely fit into that and give you the space to operate. We do recommend it's good if you have some staff or have another partner that's with you in the business. Sometimes it's good to have another person with you. So next steps. If you're still here, and we've got all 27 people that were on at the beginning. You're still here, so congratulations. Your next steps, I will tell you, if you made it this far, your next steps are just go fill out an application, just go do it, because even if you're not ready at this moment in time, we want you on our radar. We want to learn a little bit about your business. We can probably tell you some things that would help you be ready for this program if you're not ready for it. If you are ready for it, if you've been sitting on the fence, you've been waiting, or if you've had a really good year and you want to figure out how to capitalize on that and make it a really great year next year and continue to grow, expand your business, give us the application. We are not trying to get thousands of people in this program. We're looking for, a small group of committed brokers, 5 to 10 people that are companies that really want to work on their businesses next year. And we will work as hard as you do. We'll help you push and push and push and get to that next level. And go fill out the application, go to t3fellows.com. We'll tell you whether or not, we think the program's a good fit for you or not. what we would work on with you, and that's all we're looking for. And I put a note in here. It's a personal commitment. It's a monthly contract. So if for some reason it's not working out, or we all go back into COVID lockdowns, or something happens where we can't sell real estate, we can release you from the contract. So it doesn't happen very often. As a matter of fact, I can't remember the last time it did, but it is something that we know people don't want to get locked into an annual program if they're not sure that they're going to finish the whole program. We totally get that. So Dean, any comments before we take any questions and close it out?
Yeah, just to amplify geographically exclusive areas. So when people come to a program, we're geographically protected. So this allows open discussion and masterminding. So each class, so the first person who signs up in a geographical market gets to basically say if anybody else wants to come into that class, they can decide. We only run this program twice a year. The next one's coming up. It's in September. And after that, it's March. So I encourage you, if you have interest, you're kind of thinking, should I go down this path? The answer is yes. That's why you're frankly probably on this call. Is you want to grow, you want to create more efficiency, we can help hold you accountable. We can help you walk down that path. I love the quote from Wayne Gretzky talking about, what made him so great. He says, I didn't skate where the puck was. I skated where it was going. So the same thing where you are now, the business is pretty robust across the country, across North America. It's not going to be there forever. Positioning your organization with more efficiency, more effectiveness, higher levels of profitability is going to help you as we come out of this and as the market changes, and it will change, as we know.
Yeah, well, for sure. So when in doubt, fill out the application. Yep. We will get back to you. I did get a question about the retreats. The retreats, we'll have to send out the retreats dates. They are, I'm going from
November
memory, I believe
8th, November 7th, you come into Austin. We got a great little Lone Star Hotel down in Austin, Texas we stay at. And then we had that's Sunday night, Monday all day. And we go to the Austin Board of Realtors. That's what Jack was looking at earlier. And then we have a half day on Tuesday, the 9th of November. So November 7th, 8th, and 9th. Mark that in your calendars if you have interest. Do the application, like Jack said. I'd love to hear about your business, your current challenges. We can mastermind and brainstorm about them.
Yeah, and there are some people that come to us and we end up doing a one-on-one engagement. That's fine too. We've had a handful of companies that have said, you know what, can we just do a one-on-one consulting thing? And those are great. The application will help us get that process started. So thanks everybody for being here for the whole hour and investing in your knowledge and understanding of how to grow and develop your business. And we look forward to hearing from you. We really do. So I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks everyone.
Take care, guys. See ya. Bye-bye.